Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of Sleep and Relax ASMR. This episode we are doing another rendition of ASM articles. For those of you unfamiliar with the series, we take a person, place, event, in this case rock band, and we learn about them by reading their wiki page and just kind of see what they're about, discover something new. For some of you, you'll just fall asleep, so it's a win-win, as I always say. Figured I would try a different kind of, not try a different kind of voice. I've used this kind of tone in other episodes, but sometimes I like to just try to mix it up. I mean, one of the main selling points of the podcast, as told to me by many people, is just that kind of variety. You know, we have so many episodes. Some are spoken, some are whispered, some are, ambiance, some are, So I like to make it a point just to mix it up. So, yes, Stone Temple Pilots, that is the focus of today's episode. Before jumping in, I'd like to thank Helix for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. I've been sleeping on a Helix mattress and ultra cool pillow for the last few weeks. It's been an absolute dream for me. I took their quiz. I was recommended the Helix Dusk Luxe. It's a sort of medium feel mattress. Offers good support for back sleepers, side sleepers, and it's been quite a few weeks of tremendous sleep. But don't take my word for it. I mean, there's 6,000 plus reviews on the Helix mattresses. Just to read a couple because I thought they were funny. More supportive than my parents. That's an actual review that someone left. And another person said, like getting massaged by an extra large marshmallow. So, you don't have to hear me just always talk about how great Helix mattresses are and how amazing their pillows are. I mean, 6,000 plus reviews, basically a 5-star. I would Google Helix reviews and see what you come up with. It's pretty overwhelmingly positive for a reason. Not going to ramble too much about it. I love these guys. My sleep has been incredible the last few weeks, and they stand by their product. They're going to give you a 100-night sleep warranty. If you don't like the mattress, they pick it up. Pretty sure you will. But let's just walk through it. If you go to helixsleep.com/relax, you take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they will match you with a customized mattress that suits you based on your sleep preference, your height, your weight, your age. They make a mattress for you. They don't just give you a mattress because they want to sell mattress. They have quite a few options. They even have mattresses that are split down the middle for different settings, basically, different preferences for couples. So an amazing mattress for couples. But they find you the mattress for you, based on you, no one else. Right now, Helix is offering up to $125 off all mattress orders. So get up to $125 off at helixsleep.com/relax. That's helixsleep.com/relax for up to $125 off your mattress order. I love Helix. These guys they've been too good to me. So, but like I said, check out the reviews. The reviews speak for themselves. My experience has been overwhelmingly positive. I don't sink into it. I'm comfortable in all positions. I don't get hot in the middle of the night. So, anyway, let me go ahead and start reading the wiki page for Stone Temple Pilots. Let me put you to sleep at this point. People often ask me, where do I get the subject matters for ASM articles? Sometimes it just, in this case, I was listening to Stone Temple Pilots and I thought, it'd be kind of nice to give them a shout out in the podcast. My favorite song, maybe ever, is Plush, and I love the acoustic version of Plush. when I get that song stuck in my head, I'll start to sing it like 4 or 5 times over and over again. So, Stone Temple Pilots, often abbreviated as STP, are an American rock band from San Diego, California, that originally consisted of Scott Weiland, lead vocals, brothers Dean DeLeo, guitar, and Robert DeLeo, bass, backing vocals, and Eric Kretz, drums. From the band's formation in 1989, its lineup remained unchanged until the firing of Weiland in February 2013. Linkin Park vocalist Chester Bennington joined the band in May 2013. In November 2015, Bennington left the band to focus solely on Linkin Park. On December 3rd, 2015, Weiland was found dead on his tour bus before a performance with his band, The Wildabouts. In 2016, the band launched an online audition for a new lead vocalist. On July 20th, 2017, Bennington was found dead at his home. His death was ruled a suicide by hanging. On November 14th, 2017, Jeff Gutt became the new singer of the band. That is one of the things with Stone Temple Pilots. They are a band that kind of had a tumultuous existence, especially recently with members and former members. So, after forming in 1989 under the name Mighty Joe Young, the band signed with Atlantic Records and changed its name to Stone Temple Pilots. The band's debut album, Core, in 1992, was a commercial success, and they went on to become one of the most commercially successful bands of the 1990s, selling more than 18 million albums in the United States and 40 million worldwide. The band released 4 more studio albums: Purple, Tiny Music Songs from the Vatican Gift Shop, number 4, and Shangri-La Di Da, before separating in 2002, after which the band members partook in various projects, most notably Velvet Revolver and Army of Anyone. Velvet Revolver was another. I know that Weiland was part of Velvet Revolver. I don't know if other members of the band also joined Velvet Revolver with him when he did that. The band eventually reconvened in 2008 for a reunion tour, released a new self-titled album in 2010, and actively toured until Chester Bennington's departure. The band's only material Bennington was the EP High Rise in 2013. The band released its 7th studio album, also titled Stone Temple Pilots, on March 16th, 2018, so fairly recently. Basically a little over a year ago, which I'll check out. I didn't even know that. While initially rising to fame as part of the grunge movement of the early 1990s, further releases from the band express a variety of influences, including psychedelic rock, bossa nova, and classic rock. The band's evolution through the 1990s and early 2000s involved periods of commercial highs and lows, brought about in part by Weiland's well-publicized struggles with drug addiction. History: 1985 to 92, formation and early years of Mighty Joe Young. 2 conflicting stories of how frontman Scott Weiland and bassist Robert DeLeo met have been described by the band. One was that Weiland and DeLeo met at a Black Flag concert in Long Beach, California in '85. They began discussing their girlfriends, only to realize they were dating the same woman. I can imagine that. However, instead of letting this come between them, they developed a bond and formed a band after they each subsequently broke it off with this girl. Weiland presented a different version of meeting Robert in his autobiography, stating that Weiland and his friends, guitarist Corey Hickok and drummer David Allen, pursued Robert after witnessing him play live, with him sitting in during cassettes at various gigs with their band Soi Disant. However, after a few years, Alan went a separate way pursuing other interests. The remaining members witnessed drummer Eric Kretz play in a Long Beach club and convinced him to join the band. Guitarist Hickok eventually left the band in 1989. In need of a replacement and auditioning many guitarists, Robert suggested his older brother, Dean. At the time, Dean was a successful businessman who had left behind his previous career as a musician, but still played guitar as a hobby. The band managed to convince Dean to play guitar for Swing, completing the original STP lineup. Dean reportedly refused to continue playing in a band called Swing, and shortly afterwards the band became Mighty Joe Young. The band recorded a demo tape that was completed around 1990. The Mighty Joe Young demo features tracks that would go on to be re-recorded for the band's first studio album, as well as some musical styles that would not be featured on any of STP's studio albums, such as funk and yodeling. Could you imagine Stone Temple Pilots releasing a track that's yodeling? Mighty Joe Young played several gigs in the San Diego area, building up a fan base. Their first show was supporting Henry Rollins at the Whiskey A Go-Go. The group then began to work on their debut album with Brendan O'Brien. During the recording, they received a call from their lawyer who informed them that there was a bluesman who had already claimed the name Mighty Joe Young. Inspired by the STP motor oil stickers that the band members were fans of in their youth, various ideas of the initial STP were shared by the band, including Shirley Temple's blank, because I don't want to swear on the podcast, and Stereo Temple Pirates. They eventually settled on the name Stone Temple Pilots. I think it would have been cool if they were called Stereo Temple Pirates. That would have been kind of cool. 1992 through 95, Core and Purple. Stone Temple Pilots developed a fan base in San Diego clubs. In 1992, Stone Temple Pilots signed with Atlantic Records. Their first album, Core, was released on September 29th, 1992, and peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Albums chart. Core was a big success, producing hits Sex Type Thing, Plush, again my favorite song, Creep is very good, and Wicked Garden is another fantastic track. While the album was a major commercial success, some in the music press criticized the band as grunge imitators. The same year, Scott Weiland and Dean DeLeo played an acoustic version of Plush on the MTV show Headbangers Ball. This is considered one of Weiland's greatest vocal performances. Check it out. Check out Plush, MTV Unplugged or MTV Acoustic, and give that a listen. I mean, I don't know. I love it. Despite negative reviews from some critics, Stone Temple Pilots continued to gain fans. They toured for 4 weeks, opening for bands such as Rage Against the Machine and Megadeth. 1993 brought continued success on the road, with the band headlining a 2.5-month American tour. In 1993, the band filmed an episode of MTV Unplugged, where they debuted the song Big Empty. In a January 1994 Rolling Stone poll, the band was simultaneously voted Best New Band by Rolling Stone's readers and Worst New Band by the magazine's music critics. It's crazy. It's weird because obviously, like, a very casual listener of a band will listen to the music for a different reason than a critic. I mean, I'm sure a critic is concerned with vocals, depth of sound, variety, a uniqueness to the band. And, it's just funny, how some critics, it's like, it doesn't quite register. It doesn't work necessarily for them, but for listeners, we enjoy the music no matter what. I wouldn't be able to tell you what they would complain about. So, the following month, the group won Favorite Pop/Rock New Artist and Heavy Metal Hard Rock New Artist at the American Music Awards. In March 1994, the group won a Grammy Award for Best Hard Rock Performance for the song Plush. In the spring of 94, STP returned to the studio to work on their second album, Purple. Completed in less than a month, Purple debuted at number 1 in the U.S. upon its release on June 7th, 1994. The radio-friendly Interstate Love Song quickly became a big hit, spending a record-setting 15 weeks atop the album rock track charts. Other hits from the album included Vaseline and Big Empty, the latter also being featured on the soundtrack on the film The Crow. By October, just 4 months after its release, Purple had sold 3 million copies. 1995 through 2002, Tiny Music, number 4, and Shangri-La Dida. In October 95, the band regrouped to begin recording its third album, renting out a mansion in Santa Barbara, California, for the band to live together during the recording process. STP released the album Tiny Music, Songs from the Vatican Gift Shop, on March 5th, 1996. The album's sound marked a drastic change from their previous outings, oriented more in the direction of glam rock and psychedelic music than that of the hard rock / grunge sound that propelled them to popularity. Critical reception at the time was mixed. Rolling Stone, a magazine known for its initial dismissal of the band's music, held a favorable opinion of the album, regardless of the release as the group's best effort to date. They expressed surprise, however, at, quote, the clattering, upbeat character of the music, end quote, given Weiland's much publicized run-in with drugs and the law. Stone Temple Pilots were also featured on the cover of issue number 753 in February 1997. The band, sans Weiland, recruited David Coots, the frontman of 10 Inch Men, and performed under the moniker Talk Show. Talk Show released one eponymous album in 1997 before dissolving. Meanwhile, pursuing his own musical interest, Weiland released his first solo album, 12 Bar Blues, in 1998. Although both albums received moderate critical praise, neither was commercially successful. In late 1998, the band regrouped and began work on a fourth STP album. Released in 1999, number 4 was conceived as a back-to-basics rock album in the vein of Core or Purple. Stephen Erlewine of AllMusic compared the album's sound to contemporary alternative metal bands and wrote in his review, quote, "It's as if STP decided to compete directly with the new generation of alt metal bands who prize aggression over hooks or riffs," end quote. STP scored one of its biggest hits since the success of Core and Purple with the single Sour Girl, fueled by a popular music video starring Sarah Michelle Gellar, or Buffy, of Buffy the Vampire Slayer fame. The band also recorded an episode of VH1 Storytellers and went on to summer tour with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That right there is a band. The Red Hot Chili Peppers have had so much staying power for so long. Like, it's amazing how long of a consistent career Red Hot Chili Peppers have had. The album number 4 would eventually be certified platinum by the RIAA. During the summer of 2001, the band released its 5th album, Shangri-La Dida, which produced one modest rock radio hit in Days of the Week. Despite promotion of the album by going on tour with Linkin Park and Godsmack on the Family Values tour, Shangri-La Dida was a commercial disappointment. At that point, marketing support from their label was reportedly minimal, and the band decided to put a hold on any future albums. Yeah. 2002 through 2008, separation and members' other projects. Despite reports that the band had begun work on a sixth studio album in 2002, the band had dissolved by the end of that year, after reports of an altercation between DeLeo and Weiland after the last show of Stone Temple Pilots' fall 2002 tour. Following the band's dissolution, Weiland was recruited to join the successful supergroup. Okay, so Velvet Revolver. I thought that he had maybe started it, but I guess he joined it. Velvet Revolver, of course, included Guns N' Roses members Slash on guitar, Matt Sorum on drums, and Duff McKagan bass, and former Wasted Youth guitarist Dave Kushner. The band released 2 albums, Contraband in 2004 and Libertad in 2007, before breaking up in 2008. Likewise, the DeLeo brothers formed the supergroup Army of Anyone with vocalist Richard Patrick of the industrial rock band Filter and session drummer Ray Lucer. The band released its self-titled album in 2006 before going on indefinite hiatus in 2007. 2008 through 11, reunion and self-titled album. According to Dean DeLeo, steps toward a Stone Temple Pilots reformation started with a phone call from Weiland's wife, Mary Forsberg. She invited the DeLeo brothers to play at a private beach party, which led to the reconciliation of Weiland and the DeLeo brothers. In 2007, Dean DeLeo and Weiland discussed a concert promoter's offer to headline several summer festivals. Weiland subsequently left Velvet Revolver in April 2008, and the following month, Stone Temple Pilots announced they were reuniting for a 65-date North American tour. That's quite a way to come back up. The group officially reunited for a private gig at the Houdini Mansion and held the first public show on Jimmy Kimmel Live on May 1st. Stone Temple Pilots toured throughout the summer and fall, headlining the Virgin Mobile Festival in Baltimore in August of that year, as well as the 10th annual Voodoo Experience in New Orleans. After taking a short break to allow Scott to support his recently released second studio album, production for the band's sixth studio album began in mid-2009. The band also went on road for a 13-date North American summer tour in 2009, taking place in between the tours of Scott Weiland's second solo album. That's a lot of traveling. That's a ton of traveling. The band appeared on The Late Show with David Letterman for the first time in 10 years on May 19th, performing Between the Lines. The band's self-titled sixth album was released on May 25th, 2010, debuting at number 2 on the Billboard 200. Towards the end of 2010, STP announced they were scheduling several U.S. tour dates so that they could take a, quote, short break. STP toured Southeast Asia for the first time in 2011, playing in Philippines, Singapore, and Indonesia. Following this, the band played successful shows in Australia, including solo performances in Sydney and Melbourne. 2011 through 2013, split with Weiland and legal proceedings. In December 2011, Dean DeLeo told Rolling Stone, quote, "What I'd like to see happen is a man go out and do more intimate shows, really lovely theaters around the country," end quote. DeLeo also commented on a possible extended reissue of Core, including live archived material. Quote, "We have tons of live recordings from the era, and we didn't multi-track record that stuff. There's no fixes, so they'd sound incredible if we just master them," end quote. On June 26, STP released its first ever concert film, Alive in the Windy City, on on DVD and Blu-ray. The performance was filmed at a sold-out show in March 2010 at the Riviera Theater in Chicago. From then on, the band began to experience problems, and suspicions were raised that tensions within the band had arisen again. Despite the band's claims that the fall tour would be celebrating the 20th anniversary of Core, this did not happen. According to Weiland's bandmates, they did not want to do the celebration because they believed that he no longer had the vocal range to perform some of the album's songs. Weiland then decided to perform the latter songs that they did not want to play on a separate solo tour. The rest of the band decided to hide their anger and frustration towards the decision, causing Weiland to assume that they were all on the same page. Quite the miscommunication. On September 17th, at a show in British Columbia, STP arrived nearly 2 hours late and cut their set 30 minutes short, angering many fans. The following day, the band released a brief statement announced that night's show in Lethbridge, Alberta, was cancelled due to Weiland being ordered to go on 48 hours complete vocal rest due to strained vocal cords. On December 7th, in response to a public declaration from Weiland that he was completely open to returning to Velvet Revolver and a radio DJ's questions about the state of the band, Slash, Weiland's former bandmate with Velvet Revolver, told Minneapolis radio station 93X that he had heard rumors Weiland had been fired from Stone Temple Pilots. Wow. On February 27th, 2013, Stone Temple Pilots fired Weiland. The firing was officially announced as Weiland left on tour with his solo band. Both parties issued lawsuits over the right to perform with the Stone Temple Pilots name. Both were settled out of court, with the DeLeo brothers and Kretz retaining the rights to perform under the name. Very tumultuous. 2013 through 15, with Chester Bennington and Weiland's death. On May 18th, 2013, the 3 remaining members of Stone Temple Pilots performed with Chester Bennington of Linkin Park, appearing as special guest at the 21st annual K-Rock Weenie Roast and the May 19th, 2013 Live 105 BFD Festival near San Francisco, where they performed a new song, Out of Time. On May 19th, 2013, STP released a free download of their new single, Out of Time, with Bennington now an official member. Bennington had exclaimed years before in interviews that being in Stone Temple Pilots was his lifelong dream. On July 15th, 2013, STP announced that it would embark on a small tour in September with Filter as the opening act. Stone Temple Pilots released a 5-track EP titled High Rise on October 8th, 2013 through Playplan LLC, credited as Stone Temple Pilots with Chester Bennington. The album's second single, Blackheart, was released through iHeartRadio on September 18th, 2013. They officially dropped with Chester Bennington from their name in March 2015, so they just became STP again. On November 9th, 2015, Bennington announced he was amicably leaving Stone Temple Pilots to focus more on Linkin Park. Bennington would not return to the band as he was found dead at his home in 2017. His death was ruled as suicide by hanging. And of course, not more than 4 weeks later, Scott Weiland was found dead of an accidental overdose of alcohol, pills, and cocaine on his tour bus in Minnesota. Stone Temple Pilots released a statement noting his passing, in which they thanked him for the time he was with them and said he was gifted beyond words. So that's terrible, a band that has this huge history, this 15, 20 year successful, tumultuous history, and then to have both your longtime lead singer and then the lead singer, and obviously with Linkin Park as well, but just it's unbelievable. Very, very sad set of circumstances. 2016 to present, Bennington's death, new singer Jeff Gutt, and second self-titled album. In February 2016, Stone Temple Pilots launched an online audition for a new vocalist, stating, quote, "If you think you have what it takes to front this band, record with this band, and tour with this band, we would dig hearing from you," end quote. In September of that year, rumors circulated about Filipino musician John Borgia being the top candidate for the job. In February 2017, it was reported by AlternativeNation.net that the band had already selected their singer, so they have their hearts set on somebody. On July 20th, 2017, Chester Bennington. Wait, I'm seeing here July 2017. So which one is it? That's strange. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I misread it. Yeah, the Bennington death was in 2017, not 15. He left the band in 2015, and then Scott Weiland passed away less than a month later. Okay. Yeah, I got confused there for a second, but on July 26, 2017, the band announced that a 25th anniversary edition of Core would be released on September 29th, 2017. The reissue includes a 25th anniversary box set. It includes a remastered version of the album, previously unreleased demos, and B-sides, and parts of 3 live performances from 1993. In October 2017, Dean DeLeo said that the band's search for a new vocalist was going great, and the band is working on new material. On November 14th, the band revealed that Jeff Gutt had been chosen as their new lead singer. November 15th, 2017, the band released a new song, Meadow, from their upcoming studio album. On January 31st, 2018, the band released a second new song, Roll Me Under, as well as announced the release of its 7th studio album. The LP, which is the band's second self-titled album, was released on March 16th, 2018. On April 2nd, 2018, the band announced the Revolution 3 tour would commence during the summer. The tour was a co-headlining tour with Bush and The Cult. And that's the end of their history. I'm going to touch on their musical style briefly before concluding this episode, because I think it's good to get a good understanding for what their music was all about. So, musical style. Lost myself here. Where am I? Okay, let's see. There we go. The band's sound is considered a blending of the alternative rock of the 1980s and 90s with the hard rock of the 1970s, though the band is known for making each of the records possess a unique musical style despite having the sonic blueprint of the band, as Robert DeLeo describes. Stone Temple Pilots have also been described as alternative metal and neo-psychedelia. The band Aerosmith was a large influence on the band collectively, with guitarist Dean DeLeo acknowledging the band's influence on songs such as Huckleberry Crumble off their 2010 self-titled record. Steven Tyler and Joe Perry joined the band on stage at a 1996 show in Madison Square Garden for renditions of the Aerosmith songs Sweet Emotion, my favorite Aerosmith song, and Lick and a Promise. All of the band members were Kiss fans during their childhood and played shows at the Roseland Ballroom in 1993 dressed in Kiss-style makeup. During the taping of their VH1 Storytellers performance, Weiland acknowledged artists such as the Rolling Stones, Neil Young, and Robert Plant as their musical heroes. The band has covered songs by artists such as the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, The Doors, Pink Floyd, James Brown, David Bowie, and Bob Marley, both live and in studio. Early in their career, the band was considered to be part of the grunge movement, despite assertions by critics that their style in the early mid-1990s was derived from contemporary artists such as Alice in Chains and Soundgarden. The band maintained that the similarities were coincidental, due in part to having the same musical idols growing up. Guitarist DeLeo uses heavily layered and distorted guitar playing, while bassist Robert DeLeo draws influences from genres such as rhythm and blues, lounge music, and ragtime. Weiland was the band's primary lyricist. His style changed with the band's evolution. Much of the lyrics on Core were written about societal issues such as religion, abuse of power, and isolation. The band's breakthrough single, Sex Type Thing, polarized critics with its lyrics, some interpreting it as advocacy of date rape. Weiland intended it as a feminist anthem, with its lyrics written in mockery of the narrator. As Weiland began to deal with substance abuse, his lyrics became more personal and intricate. Songs like Interstate Love Song deal with his addiction's tolls on his relationships with his then-wife, Janina. And I think that's it. Obviously, their wiki page is quite large, but I've kind of run out of time. I think I'm running close to 40 minutes here. Maybe a little bit over. So, unfortunately, I will have to end it there. So that's it. If you have any comments, suggestions, questions, maybe you want me to do a specific ASM article in the future, you can always reach me by emailing hello@sleepandrelaxasmr.com. Thanks again to Helix. Remember to visit helixsleep.com/relax. Get up to $125 off your mattress order. You will not regret it, I promise you that. That's it for this episode. Thanks as always for listening, and take care.